So Dallas Cowboys at the undefeated Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. The Falcons laying 4, the total in the high 40s, around 47.5. And guys, before we jump into this one, I did notice that Tony Romo wasn't wearing any pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month last Sunday. I guess he was too busy recognizing INT Awareness Month after he throws 4 more in Sunday's loss, but against the Giants. Marco, Dallas continues to pile up a ton of yardage, but the turnovers due mostly to Romo and his picks, and sometimes due to receivers cutting off their routes too soon and not carrying out where they're supposed to run to. Continues to haunt this football team. Continue to put up a ton of yardage, one of the top 10 offenses in the NFL, but they can't hang on to the ball enough to get it in the end zone more than their opponents.
Well, last week on the videos we gave out the over in the Dallas Giant game. We said one of the good things is they're not going to be able to run the ball, so Tony's got to throw, and only one thing can happen, and it did. He threw a lot of interceptions as usual. 6 turnovers again. I mean, it's got to stop at some point, and you got to think you got to readjust your game plan. You got to take the ball out of his hand and quit trying to make him be the guy that's going to carry the team. He's not a leader. You said it. We were texting back and forth last Sunday. He's not a leader. They need to try to establish the running game, and I think they can do it against Atlanta. They need to shorten this game because they're going into a dome. It's loud in there, and we all know about Matty Ice's record at home. You need to try to keep the ball out of his hands. So based on last week with the high-scoring game that we saw from Dallas, I think there might be some value going the other way this week. The total is going to be inflated. It's a Sunday night game. We all know the public gets involved Sunday night, Monday night. Vegas knows that. They pump the totals because it's human nature. People don't like to bet unders.
This Atlanta team is 7-0, Brian, straight up. But 4 of their wins have been rather close. And I'm talking about beating Denver, Carolina, Washington, and Oakland. A couple of those teams ain't too hot. By an average margin of just over 4 points per game. They gave up 474 yards to the Oakland Raiders, 404 yards to Carolina, and they got outgained by Kansas City. Talking about this Atlanta Falcons team, Kansas City tends to outgain people and turn the ball over, but those other teams are some bad teams that we're talking about hanging around with these Atlanta Falcons, not to mention Carolina, for all intents and purposes, could have won that game. They lose in the final minute on that last long drive by, as you said, Matty Ice, losing the game 30-28 in Atlanta. Now, Dallas brings in the NFL's 4th best defense as far as total yards are allowed into this mix, besides having this offense that moves the ball. If Romo throws it to the guys with the stars on their helmet, I think they got a shot to hang Atlanta with their first loss of the season. What about you?
Yeah, Dallas has only given up 360 yards or less to every team they played, and it's similar to the Kansas City situation where you've got the quarterback throwing interceptions, putting the defense in bad positions. It just tells you how good this Dallas defense is, that they're minus 11 on the season in turnovers, and they're still in just about every game. The unfortunate thing is Dallas always finds a way to lose these type of games. But, you take a look at Dallas' schedule, and this is going to be the toughest game they've got on their schedule. And you touched on the Atlanta situation. Everything I've heard about Atlanta at home, Matty Ice, they never lose. 19-7-1 against the spread coming into this year. Only 1-2 against the spread at home this year, winning by, as you pointed out, 6-2-3. So they're a little bit overrated at home here. I kind of like Dallas. And, if Dallas wins this game, they set themselves up for a pretty good situation at the end of the season.
Marco, this is your free pick, and I'm just going to throw it to you by saying this. Atlanta's 17 takeaways have really masked what I think are some weaknesses with this football team. And a lot of sharps out there have Atlanta rated much lower than the public does. And, they're willing to take those points against the Atlanta Falcons. What say you on this one? This is your free pick.
All right, guys, last week, as I said, we went over with the Dallas game. I'm going the other direction this week. It's going to be an under. Dallas has to change things. They got to keep Tony Romo under wraps, go a more conservative game plan. And this is the type of team that you want to do. This is a Sunday night game. That crowd's going to be loud. You want to go in there and take the crowd out of the game. How do you do that? Long drives. You don't want to get into a shootout with the Falcons. And Atlanta, if they do have a lead, Atlanta's got a good running game. They can try to chew some clock, too. I know Dallas has a good defense. So you get 2 teams here that I feel are going to want to use the clock. Last week, one of the reasons why we liked the over is you had 2 teams that knew each other well. It's much, when you play a team twice a year, you know their strengths and weaknesses, and it's easier to attack those. These 2 teams are not familiar with each other, and I think you're going to see a tighter game plan. I like the inflated total here. there. The value is on the under. I'm going with the under in this one on
Fly
Sunday.
seems to agree with you also. He's saying take the under in this one. But anyway, my wrap on this one is DeMarco Murray's doubtful, but they do need to get that ground game going to take less pressure off the passing game, both the receivers running bad routes and Tony Romo throwing picks. Falcons are going to need a decent night for Michael Turner, and that does keep the clock running. With you on this one, I think Dallas has a bit of a chance here to pull the upset. We'll see. When we come back here to pregame.tv, we're talking Monday Night Football. Eagles and Saints. We'll get Brian's pick on that one. Stick around.